Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Hermosa Beach Open, part of the Jose Cuervo Pro Beach Volleyball Series. I'm Luke Van Valen, joined up here in the booth by 2004 men's Olympic coach Jeff Alzino. Jeff, how you doing?
All good. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, tremendous to have you up here. Of course, you joined us for a prior game in semifinals, and then we just witnessed some of your coaching action that took place right there in the women's final. An incredible match that was.
Yeah, Jen Fatma and Brooke Sweat versus Krop and Pavlik. That was a really, really good final. Krop and Pavlik have been so dominant the last 2 seasons. For us to push them to 3 was great. Having a serve to win it was even greater, but I guess they learned one more step it's going to take to win their first Open.
Absolutely. Well, I couldn't agree more with just that fact and just the general nature of that game, the whole spirited feeling that we had going on around the court. It was just off the hook in a really general way.
Brooke plays a really exciting brand of volleyball. The way she runs around all over the place and digs a ton of balls. So yeah, it felt great to have the crowd behind us as an underdog and support us in the final.
Copy that. Well, folks, at this point, we're ready to go down to Mr. Matt Romanowski for player introductions. Of course, men's championship moments away, the moment that we've all been waiting for here. So we send it down now to Matt Romanowski.
It is time for the Jose Cuervo Pro Beach Volleyball Series Hermosa Open. Can you dig it? And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This young man, 7 times a second place finisher, a 4-time All-American and College National Player of the Year from Pepperdine. Put your hands together for Brad Keenan. And his partner, ladies and gentlemen, a 1-time winner in San Diego in 2009, a national champion out of Pepperdine from Thousand Oaks, California. Give it up for Johnny Mayer. And their opponents, ladies and gentlemen, the #1 seeded team, 2-time King of the Beach winner with 17 career wins and a former Olympian out of Sherman Oaks from San Diego State University. Give it up for Johnny Hyden. Ladies and gentlemen, and his partner with 19 career wins, a 2004 God of the Beach and 99 Rookie of the Year out of the University of Hawaii from Kailua, Hawaii. Give it up for the Big Daddy, Mr. Sean Scott! Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Jose Cuervo Pro Beach Volleyball!
Well, thank you very much, as usual.
Let's go, Johnny Mayer.
An animated
Brad
cat
Keenan.
down there introducing all the athletes without question. Mr. Matt Romanowski, as we prepare for the first serve out here. Looks like it's John Hyden, game #1, standard stuff, rally scoring all the way through. First 2 games to 21. If there is a third and final, that game will be to 15. Hyden serves. Brad Keenan finds it. Here's Johnny Mayer with the set. Nice pokey. That one lands in the sand.
It'll be interesting to see if Sean and John use the same strategy they did in the semifinals, which was just rip their serve to either guy, or if they're going to pick on one certain player here.
Here's John Mayer to serve. He fires one in, well found by Scott. Scott crushes it high off the block. And that one tooled out of bounds, good for the point, 1 apiece.
Sean Scott recognized as one of the best blockers in the history of beach volleyball, certainly for his size. But if they're going to serve Brad Keenan at 6'8", he's given up 3-4 inches at the net. Should be tough.
And a heavy serve right there. That one flies just wide, if I'm not mistaken. Looks like it was intended for John Mayer. And here comes Brad Keenan. You talked about Keenan in the past as he used to partner with John Hyden, or am I mistaken?
Yes. Hyden and Keenan were partners for, I think, 2 full seasons at least. And had a lot of success together. Almost won their first Open together in Santa Barbara.
Just a couple of massive cats, and there it is, of course, indicating why he's viewed as one of the greatest blockers ever to play the game. Locking one down to get things started out here. Here comes the 5th serve so far in game number 1. Johnny Mayer, big left hand rip. I love that left hand, that southpaw. Does that create an increased difficulty from a defensive perspective if you're used to blocking people with right hand, or is there a difference there?
I think there is, and I think it's difficult just for the sheer few numbers of how many lefties are playing. You just simply don't get the reps off a left-handed player in practice or from a coach on a box, so definitely a little more rare and tougher to defend.
All right, there's Sean Scott almost getting another block right there, but fitting just inside. And we talked earlier in the tournament today about how it's a very difficult thing to get a ball inside the block of Sean Scott. Brad Keenan able to do that right there. Here comes John Mayer, big heavy jump serve. There's that southpaw again. In comes Sean Scott, crushes one off the block. And a resemblance of what we saw during the 2nd serve there. So side change right now. Score on the board, 3-4 here in men's championship. If you're just joining us, this is the final match of the weekend. It's come down to this. We just witnessed women's championship, which Jenny Kropp and Whitney Pavlik continue their triumphant stride forthward here in 2012. Their 4th win in 4 tournaments. Sean Scott, great big smack. And another block right there. Scott blocking line, and Hyden runs behind him. Keenan puts one in. Now, you talked a second ago about their strategy coming into it, whether they're going to hit the hard serves, and so far, seems like Scott and Hyden are hitting those serves.
Yeah, they're definitely going to blast right now. Kind of going to either guy. You can see there why it's so hard to score points off Brad Keenan. Hyden ran to the line because everything looked like it was going high line, but Brad's so tall with such a long arm, he can change that really late and go angle.
Oh, John Mayer. Big old angled rip right there.
Like to see Mayer coming out aggressive like this. He's known more for little wristy shots like Brooke Sweat was there in the finals, but he's blasting against Sean right now.
Potentially a bit of strategizing of their own there. Hyden with a nice pass. Short set, rocks it off the block. Keenan wanting to get a solid one. Hands on many of the shots coming over the net.
Now that's a very purposeful set there. They knew that Brad, the blocker, was going to try and serve and get all the way to the net, so they ran a lower, faster offense. So Brad couldn't get all the way there and set his feet.
Here is Johnny Hyden. Tough serve down the line. Brad Keenan is there, but up out of reach.
Once again, Matt Romanowski up here in the booth. Matt, how is the energy down there?
It's incredible. This Hermosa Beach crowd has just been gnarly all weekend long, and they're really into it. They know their beach volleyball, and it's been fantastic.
Hyden with a big smack in. Here's John Mayer with a beautiful set. Keenan gets up, hammers one down the line, finding that back corner.
Probably the strongest wind we've had all weekend, too. The wind is coming directly at our camera from the side. It's coming off the ocean.
Oh, and the blocker half been blocked. Look at that. Brad Keenan throwing up a wall. And looking for just that small shot right there. And Keenan throwing up.
Great camera work on the replay. You could see Brad Keenan look away from the ball and just look directly at Sean to time his jump.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. That was a ball which had a lot of velocity behind it. Really creating a wind tunnel right there.
One of his nicknames, Johnny H. Bomb.
Johnny H. Bomb.
That's why.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Crushed that one. So Brad Keenan and Sean Scott with 1 block apiece. Scott and Hyden both with 2 kills, and Brad Keenan with 4 leading the charge. John Mayer has 2.
As we take a look at Sean Scott stepping back to serve. Passed by Johnny Hyde. Keenan on 2. Brad Keenan on fire in this match so far here in game 1.
How difficult can it be to time a shot like that?
As a hitter, it's incredible. I mean, people come from indoor volleyball, they come out to the sand, they can barely even walk around. Now you add 15, 20-mile-an-hour wind and a spinning ball. That's just a very elite play by Brad Keenan.
Big serve left hand from Sean Scott. He comes up with the right this time, and as you mentioned, he is a repeater.
That's right, we saw that in the semifinal. If you block him on a hit, he will not back off. He'll come back and take another rip at you.
And John Mayer removing the shades, as things are overcast here. Wind coming side court, fairly dark.
No one.
And Keenan making a hustle to that ball. Point Hyden Scott. 8-9.
Service.
If you look at the court in 4 quadrants, John Mayer is on the toughest quadrant of the court to pass and hit from. He's got the most wind at his back, blowing the ball away from him. Surprised Sean and John didn't go right back to Mayer.
Interesting. Are they sort of, would you say that Sean and John are just basically firing at anyone, or is there definite strategy involved in where they're hitting these hard balls?
That's what it looks at. They're really mixing it up so much that you'd have to think that they're just trying to serve it as tough as they can.
John Hyden smacks one down the line. It was a fantastic hit. Great set right there from Sean Scott. Hyden really engaging that core, just ripping his shoulders downward and firing that ball in. Solid shot, 9-10. Sean Scott steps back.
Sean Scott, of course, of Kailua, Hawaii, from the University of Hawaii, married to Rachel Wacholder, of course, now Rachel Scott. Also a beach professional on the women's side.
Brad Keenan looked like a tough pass to negotiate right there after touching the tape. Sucks his shoulders up a little bit, plays the ball well, and then finishes nicely.
Yeah, I have to go on a limb and say I disagree with the strategy by Hyden and Scott. They haven't done real well against Keenan, and he's on the good side at 6'8". I think they should probably be sticking with Mayer.
And some discussion right there. Hyden thinks he saw a touch.
No touch.
No touch on the play, 21 total points, so we take a timeout. So you can see Hyden and Scott are moving off to kind of renegotiate what's going on. Now, Jeff, if you could break down what we've seen so far, what would you say?
Well, it looks like both teams are just going to say that we're playing with a heavy ball, kind of the old school volleyball, which a lot of these players like. And they got some wind to serve into, so both teams are just trying to take a good rip at it rather than isolate their defense against one specific offensive player. For Keenan and Mayer, it seems to be working. Keenan's huge at the net, and he's either getting blocks or forcing errors out of them. My opinion is that Hyden Scott probably need to go to the smaller John Mayer, especially when he's on the bad side, and take advantage of the height advantage they possess on him.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it. I'm joined here by Jeff Alzina, 2004 men's Olympic coach, and a man hard at work out here this weekend, delivering the knowledge, the goodness, and the perspective to many of the athletes out there, including Brooke Sweat and Jen Fatma, who we saw in the women's championship, runners-up right here in Hermosa Beach. Pretty fantastic weather out here as the waves continue to crash. Not too many beachgoers out there for swimming and sunbathing. All have chosen to stop in here to the Jose Cuervo Pro Beach Volleyball Series 4th stop here in 2012. Brad Keenan fires one in. Here comes Sean Scott on 2, but found by Mayer. Here comes John Mayer. Big left hand blocked by Scott, and it flies out of bounds. Tooled high and barely out there.
Again, that's another set play by Hyden and Scott. They know that Brad has to serve and run all the way up to the net, almost 30 feet or more. So they're trying to hit that ball on 2 and run their offense before the block is even set.
Oh, and H-bomb unleashes. So John Hyden will now step back to serve. 10-13, trailing by 3 here. Sean Scott and John Hyden won in Fort Lauderdale, the first stop of the season. John Mayer smacks one right there, catches the net.
Now you got to think that they're going to repeat back to John Mayer. They've got most, if not all, of their points from him. And following up on an error, you really need to repeat that same serve.
And there it is, plays to John Mayer. He's coming in for that left side. Beautiful block right there from Sean Scott. That's going to notch things up to 2 blocks. He currently leads the field. Brad Keenan ahead by 3 from the next runner-up in kills with 7 so far in game number 1.
Mayer just had a hitting error and then got blocked. Typically, you'll see somebody answer with a high line shot, but Brad didn't give him a chance.
Keenan looking to go on 2 as they continue to pick on John Mayer over there out of the service department. So 13 apiece, and a timeout is taken. Mostly at this point, a timeout like this is pretty strategic, is it not? It seems to be something that you kind of break the opposition's momentum a little bit.
Yeah. You only get 1 timeout per game to 21, so I'm not necessarily sure I would have taken a timeout this early. You know, if you side out, it's 14-13. You're still serving on the good side. But apparently giving up 3 in a row. Some teams have a set rule. If you give up 3 in a row, then it's done. They call timeout no matter what, leading or trailing, just so they can maintain some feeling of control.
I see. What would you say? I mean, this is a really broad question, and maybe just to inform some of our audience out there, what would you say the split is between physical and mental abilities, and what is required in a match like this, in like a championship match? How mental is it?
People don't really get to finals without physical skills and strategies, but I think at the highest level of all sports, it's hugely mental. It's all about the decisions you make, you know? All 4 of these players are probably within 1% of each other skill-wise, but it's who's going to make the best decisions in the crucial moments on which selection to make, offensively or defensively.
Wow.
Here's
John Mayer.
Keenan off the block. And Brad Keenan, Jeff, 7 finals in his career, has not won the big one.
Hasn't won the big one. This would be a great place for him to do it. Hermosa Beach is a prestigious event. A lot of history in this town and this event. Playing against his former partner, I'm sure he would love to get this one.
And getting some hands on right there, but that ball flies out of bounds. Tooled off the capable hands of Brad Keenan right there. His partner, John Mayer, we had John up in the booth yesterday. Very reserved cat, just a laid-back gent. He's kind of a nice guy out there, packed with skill, no question about it. That big southpaw. We'll see if Sean Scott picks on him here again. You mentioned that strategy-wise, that would be a smart move. Put some points on the board. That one flies out.
Sean Scott serves sails just a bit out.
Historically, Sean and John haven't been like the toughest serving team on tour. They don't usually just absolutely get after these serves like this. They're more of a, I'm going to go to you and have Sean really post up in front of a guy and shut him down. So.
Oh, smash. Huge hit right there from Sean Scott. I've always been really impressed with the size of Sean Scott's hands. They are massive.
He's got meat hooks.
He really does. Just clobbering that ball.
And we'll take a look at Johnny Hyden stepping back to serve. There's a set by Keenan. Mayer. Down the line. There goes Johnny Mayer.
Well, solid stuff like that. It's just got to be challenging in all respects to be hitting when Sean Scott is throwing up the block. Well done by John Mayer. Here he comes in with a big left-handed jump serve. That one just creeps over.
So huge to get a free point at this stage in the game. these players all know that if you have that 2-point lead at the end of the game, maybe 3-4 points left, you don't need to score any more points to win. You can just side out 3 times, 4 times, and you win the game. So huge advantage to get the 2-point spread.
Just crushing the ball. Kind of an outside angle right there. Big right hand. So we see Sean Scott stepping back into the box. Big jump serve right there, and in many ways, just the results that just sort of takes place. It's almost inevitable that if you're doing jump serves the entire game, at least one's going to hit the net.
Right. I like with this ball and this much wind to take it up much higher over the net, 4 or 5 feet above the net with a lot of spin and let the wind create some havoc with it, rather than just the power ball down low.
Dig by Mayer, Brad Keenan.
Huge point. Brad must have had a micro touch on the block because he would never make that swing on 2 just by choice. Huge, huge advantage to be going to this good side, wind in the face where you can take your rips with a 3-point advantage.
And here's Brad Keenan stepping back to serve. Ripping it at Hyden. Set by Scott, Hyden up. Oh, Hyden.
Hyden with a nice smack right there. Big old right hand continuously showing itself here in this match. And no, I'd have to agree. In the matches that I've seen Sean Scott and John Hyden play in, there's a lot, there's finesse a lot of times being used, but the jump serves, between the jump serves and the extremely large hits that we're seeing at the net, this is turning out to be an extremely entertaining match.
Here's the set to Mayer. Mayer blocked by Sean Scott.
What a
Triples over.
save.
On 2. Sean Scott.
Yeah, very physical final so far. Usually teams kind of feel each other out, move the ball around off speed in the wind, but we're seeing a whole lot of full swings out here. Pretty huge side out here. You side out, you get 20 now. You'd only have to side out to win again.
Working on Johnny Mayer. Mayer up, blocked by Sean Scott. Picked up, out of reach by Brad Keenan.
Another large point, Jeff.
Huge. I think they're finding more success again by just sticking on John Mayer. I think they probably could have done that earlier in the game. You know, John Mayer is responsible for that side out, but frankly, I think that Brad Keenan could have made a better save on that play. I think he had time for 2 hands. All he has to do is get it up. He'll get the good set he needs.
Hard off the block, out of bounds. Good for the point. Keenan Mayer.
Real high percentage, high elbow swing off the top of the block there. Very smart comeback by Johnny.
Here is Johnny Mayer with an opportunity.
Does he go for it?
Going to Sean Scott. Sean Scott ripping. What a turn down the line.
We call that taking the bait. Brad Keenan took the bait. Watch this here. He's supposed to be covering all of the line, every ounce of that line, and let Sean kind of bring it back into him. He took the bait thinking Sean was going to hit more middle.
Here is Sean Scott. Passed by Brad Keenan. The set by Mayer. Keenan. Ripping dug by Johnny Hyden. Chance to take the lead. Mayer's there. Out to Mayer. Mayer for 21. Off the block. Picked up. There's Scott with a pokey. Mayer picks it up. Set. Out to Mayer. And Johnny. The cut is out.
Oh boy, that was the entertainment value of. I have trouble finding something that parallels that. That's exciting stuff right there. Back and forth, game point on the line, and a huge rally right there, and now knotted up yet again. Or excuse me, 21-20 now.
If you want to beat an elite team like Sean and John and win an open, possibly your first open for them, you've got to win rallies like that.
Here's Sean Scott. Passed by Mayer. Mayer up, rips it off the block. Scott with a chance, and he does it!
Sean Scott, John Hyden take game number 1 from behind, riding the caboose virtually the whole game, and then moving right in and taking the W. Wow, unbelievable. That was the stuff. As we take a look back here, as we will take you off to break here, this point so big. The big grab, the poker, after the huge dig early on by John Hyden, and John Mayer sends it out of bounds, which led to the win here in game number 1. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Jose Cuervo Pro Beach Volleyball Series. Right here, the Hermosa Beach Open Men's Championship. We just witnessed game number 1, taken by Sean Scott and John Hyden over the likes of Brad Keenan and John Mayer. And the dogs are out, as you can see, folks. Just a solid crowd out here composed of humans and animals alike. And the crowd beginning to billow deeply, loving what they're seeing out here. The circumstance is this: Sean Scott, John Hyden, as I mentioned, up by 1 game. And here we go, 0-0 game number 2. This will also be to 21. Hyden crushes, but Brad Keenan with a huge block to kick things off. John Hyden just smashing that ball, but catching the arm of Brad Keenan there. John Mayer steps back to serve. Ball flies long right there, good for the point. Scott Hyden, once again, folks, alongside Matt Romanowski, and of course, 2004 men's Olympic coach Jeff Halzina. I'm Luke Van Valen, and Jeff, things getting going here. The wheels beginning to turn in game 2.
Yeah, that was, Mayer and Keenan are really gonna have to shake that loss off. That's a frustrating loss. Being up 19-16 with the ball in your hand on the good side, and they go ahead and give up an 6-1 run to the defending champs here. So if they can rebound here, forget about the last one, realize how good they played to get to 19, they may have a chance to push this to a 3rd game.
Nice big ace serve right there from Brad Keenan. He and John Mayer both with 1 ace so far in the match. Keenan leading in kills with 9. Keenan smacks again. Here comes John Hyden. Very nice. Roll shot down the line, clearing the block and finding the sand. Good for the point there.
Keenan and Mayer played a couple, 2-3 seasons together back in 06, 07, 08. Had a lot of success together. I think their first Hermosa Open, they took a 3rd place. But broke up for a while. Keenan picked up Hyden. Mayer picked up Nygaard. They find themselves back together again. They were teammates on the Pepperdine National Championship team up in Malibu. Being coached currently by Stein Metzger, who's had them join together and play in some FIVB events this year. They definitely look like they've improved the last 2 months or so through the coaching and through the competition they get overseas.
Nice fadeaway shot right there from Sean Scott, puts that one in. And you mentioned the importance of having a coach, or that at least it's seemingly a really beneficial element and has been for Keenan Mayer. You've seen an improvement with them based on coaching. You obviously are a coach, so you advocate it in a big way. Are we seeing more players as they move into this level starting to acquire coaches?
Absolutely. I've never seen it more prevalent than this last year or 2. USA Volleyball is doing a certification program and training some coaches to teach the way that they like to see volleyball be played. And so we've got a lot more certified coaches out here, a lot of ex-players. You know, they finished playing just by a couple years and they can't really let go of the game. They still have a ton of volleyball in their mind and their heart, and they want to give back. So yeah, we've got a lot of quality coaches out here. You just saw Barbara Fontana last match. Liz Matsakayan was here, Angela Rock, Nancy Mason.
Well, the fourth block of Sean Scott right there, and Hyden rips one down the middle. And it's like John Mayer got a hand on it.
5-4. Hyden Scott with the lead. Johnny Hyden back to serve.
So take a look at Johnny Hyden, San Diego State University. Two-time Olympian. Going after Brad Keenan. And Brad Keenan blocked by Sean Scott. On two, picked up by Hyden. Here's the set to Hyden. Johnny Hyden scores down the line.
Well, picking up a bit of momentum. One huge block, the ace, and then a tremendous play both on the defensive and offensive side of things from John Hyden. Sean Scott slams that one down the line. Keenan was up, but just beside him.
Keenan and Mayer haven't necessarily done anything wrong in the match whatsoever, but it seems that Sean and John have pressed and found ways to win the emotional big points that give them the momentum and the confidence to close out.
Oh, man. Well, certainly not lacking any confidence as he rises to block yet again. That's going to notch things up to 5. Look at that left-hand smackdown. Mayer looking just to push that ball through. Sean Scott throwing up the veritable solar eclipse.
From day one, when Sean first came out to the beach, that was always kind of his forte. If you shoot softly on him, he loved to swat it. He started out being almost a better shot blocker than hit blocker. So it gets really tough to challenge him with a hard hit, and then you try and go soft, and he swats that too.
Wow, Keenan on 2, found by John Hyden. Hyden smashes, and that catches the net. Valiant effort. It's gonna make things 5-7. Here's a look. John Hyden slamming that ball from about, what would you say, 4 or 5 feet out there?
At least. You know, he missed that, but it is nice to see him just be aggressive. He's in the zone defensively. He's getting a ton of touches, so I like to see guys be aggressive on the transition swing. I think Keenan and Mayer need to get something going pretty quick here. If they're down by 3 at the technical timeout, it's just really hard to come back from that kind of deficit against such seasoned veterans as individuals and as a team, and teams that have won so much together. So I think they need to make a real good charge here, get the 11-10 switch minimum.
Well, quick thinking right there by Brad Keenan. He snaps that one down. We'll see if they can engage that 10-11 switch, knot things up a little bit tighter on the scoreboard. Here's Johnny Mayer. 6-8, 2-point spread. Point here would be extremely helpful. Glances the net. Here comes Sean Scott. Keenan's there looking for the block. Knuckles it up. And Keenan with another chance here. Puts it in.
That's huge. That's the kind of plays they have to make right now. They've got to convert anything they touch in the backcourt on defense.
Quick right hand. Keenan grabs a hold of it, and then Keenan turns around, eye on the ball, snaps up right down the middle.
And here's Johnny Mayer serving to Sean Scott. Scott off the hands of Brad Keenan for the point.
Just a battle of titans at the net with Sean Scott and Brad Keenan.
9-7, Johnny Hyden back to serve.
You know, one of the potential knocks that was going to happen on this team of Hyden Scott was when they first got together. John Hyden wasn't known as the greatest setter in the world, but boy, he has really improved his bump setting. He never really used his hands in matches, but from the get-go, he's really worked on it and become one of the better setters on the tour right now.
And an incredible serve. Hyden crushed that ball. And striking the ball at such a high point, it almost maintained that downward angle all the way over the tape. Minor touch. Seemingly a tough ball to pass. Here's Hyden again. This time snags it. Oh, and the ace serve. 2 in a row from the serving block. coffin corner beauty right down the line off to the left of Brad Keenan, and tough
Froze
place
him.
to be.
Didn't even make a move.
Yeah.
That's an absolute dart by Hyden. Like to hear a little fire out of Johnny Mayer there. A little celebration after the point. They're going to need that. They need everything they got. If they think they're going to take down a top seed like this and get Brad his first win, you got to bring it all out, emotionally, physically, psychologically. Great transition set there by Keenan.
Wow. Big things, of course, and beginning to turn the tides a little bit. 1 point away from our technical timeout here. Will they be able to make it up to that 10-11 spot? Looks like they'll be blocking line.
That's what I thought they had to have to stay in this. 10-11 switch. One more here. Another great transition set.
Well, Jeff, 10-11 switch on the technical timeout. A good place to be for them.
They needed that. If you go down 12-9, down by 3 at quote-unquote the halftime of the game, it gets a little bit mentally daunting. So they've definitely got some momentum. Scored 2 in a row here after getting 2 scored on them. See if they can keep the momentum going when they move to the bad side.
Wow. And just a beautiful dig right there from Johnny Mayer as he plays that ball up and then finishes nicely down the line. And look at this fabulous crowd, extremely energetic bunch, screaming not just for the game, but for t-shirts. Compliments of our Jose Cuervo girls out there, throwing some shirts to only the biggest fans, those who make the loudest clamor.
Well, guys, as we take a look at the Jose Cuervo girls out there, and again, it's great having Jose Cuervo as one of our title sponsors or sponsoring the tour. And as I said before, Jose Cuervo started as one of the main sponsors in the 80s, and coming full circle, sort of reviving the sport of beach volleyball. And it's great that Jose Cuervo can bring this tour back to California, here in Hermosa. Next month we'll be back in Manhattan, the prestigious Manhattan Open. And of course, the championships in Huntington Beach.
One of the best beach volleyball sponsors in history. I grew up in Santa Cruz. They used to host the Triple Crown of Jose Cuervo, and that was the tournament that came through Santa Cruz. That's what got everybody in that town completely hooked back in the late 70s, early 80s.
There's a serve to Johnny Hyden to set. Hyden to score. Off the block. Oh, Brad Keenan.
There it is.
Oh, Johnny Mayer. Picked up with a chance to score.
Oh, wow. Beautiful work right there from John Mayer. And Brad Keenan with a spectacular finish.
Tide's turning a little bit. Now they're winning some big emotional points.
Well, you mentioned how important that can be for momentum and, of course, the mental side of the game, which is quite a margin in a game like this.
Oh, Brad Keenan.
Yeah, it was huge for Keenan to be able to drop off the net, leave his blocking position, and drop off and make digs himself. That way, Johnny, the setter, traditionally can throw him all the way up to the net and have a 6'8" guy swinging for your points. That's big.
Sean Scott fires in, found by John Mayer. Here's the set from Keenan. Mayer, left hand, rolls it. But Johnny Hyden is there. Huge hit, well dug, and it's poke tie. Here comes Hyden, dribbles it over. Oh, and Mayer could not quite bring that ball back up. Sort of a miscontact, would you say, of the ball there? Just
that was strange. I think the ball had so much spin on it, the wind just caught it at the last second.
Yeah.
He's also trying to stay out of the net.
13-11 service.
John Mayer, the recent recipient of a very business-style haircut out of his long locks that he used to rock before.
He's kind of going with the college plan where you get one good haircut, maybe 2 a year. You let it grow out forever, then you chop it all off.
And then you chop it off.
They need to make sure here that they don't let Hyden Scott get up by 3 again. I think that's kind of a magic number we can look at. They've got to keep it, 2-point lead, and then they side out for a 1-point deficit. See if they can turn one here before the side switch.
Here's John Mayer, whacks it hard left-handed. Keenan creeping up for the block, but unnecessary in that circumstance.
And here is Johnny Mayer. We're knotted up 13s.
Rare hitting error for Hyden Scott. See if they can take advantage.
Set to Johnny Hyden. Johnny Hyden, turn down the line, on the line.
He's such a tough guy to stop, but that is one of the things I think the block has to at least 90% of the time take. John Hyden's turn back down that line. He lives on that, just like Todd Rogers. A wrist away down the right side line. Can't really let him have the easy out.
Typically serving John Mayer that time, firing it to Keenan. He reaches into the middle. Walk me through this. What exactly took place, you think, here, Jeff?
Well, like you said, they were serving John Mayer for a while, so sometimes the setter, Brad Keenan, gets in mentally a little bit into a rut of, I'm preparing to set, and then one comes ripping at you like that and catch you just 1% off guard, and you can miss the pass.
Well, 2-point differential right now. And Keenan Mayer needing a side out. They need this game. Remember, Hyden and Scott took the first game here in men's championship.
Service going after Johnny Mayer. Set out to Mayer. Mayer blocked by Sean Scott, picked up. Keenan scores. Dug by Hyden out of reach.
Keenan with a cannon of his own right there.
Like to see that. That's aggressive. They need to finish this game aggressively, win or lose. They've got to take their big, high, hard swings right now.
14 serving 15. Brad Keenan, it's your serve.
I'd like to see Brad take a rip here, too.
We'll see if he does. Gusty wins. Continuing to come across court here. Oh, tricky shot right there. Keenan blocks! Huge block. Right there, reading the play well. A great looking serve. That thing just dropped.
Big split block. He's lined up on the line. It's probably a line call, but then he's allowed to split his hands apart and take a little bit of the middle of the court with the left there. Great move.
After Scott, here's the set out to Sean Scott. Sean Scott seeing the court well. The shot cross court. 16-15.
16-15. Advantage, Hyden Scott.
Well, things
Sean Scott
tightening up a bit. Sean Scott with an opportunity here off the service line. Scott crushes one long. Easy point for Keenan Mayer.
16 all. Johnny Mayer.
This is the point last game when Keenan Mayer took that nice lead at 19-16. Couldn't close it out. We'll see what happens here.
Hyden winds up and fires off the block of Brad Keenan. And Keenan with that kicks things up to 5 blocks thus far in the match. Tied with Sean Scott.
That's that same super wrist away line shot that he let go earlier, so glad to see him take that.
And John Hyden this time around putting down a very nice shot. Good for the points. $100,000 prize purse out here. It's quite a bit on the line for these athletes.
Take a look at Johnny Hyden stepping back to serve. 17 all here in game number 2. 4 points away from another title.
Sean's got the line block call on John Mayer.
Oh, Johnny Mayer.
Well, Mayer falls in, hits it hard angle. And tough ball to pass right there, huh?
Definitely. He got a tough pass out of it, tough set out of it. Sean decided to stay anyway, went up late, which was probably a good choice. John Mayer made the right selection and just blasted cross court.
On Stadium Court, give it up Hermosa Beach. 18-16.
You got Keenan serving. Maybe watch for Sean and John to either run it on 2 or run a low set again, as they did in first game.
Ooh. Tough timing right there as we get toward the tail end of the match. Those points quite important at this juncture. Would you say so, Jeff?
Huge. Those are all the little things. You know, yeah, it's one miss serve. Maybe they haven't missed in a long time, but to win your first open, it's all the little things. It's not some big, crazy change you made in your game. It's just an adding up of several 4, 5, 6 little tiny things, especially in the last 5 points. Very nice on 2 by him there. See who they're going at.
Mayer fires in, found right there by John Hyden. He's coming in for the hit. Blocked and tooled out of bounds for the point right there. 19-19 here in game number 2. Hyden and Scott can pull it off. They can win it in 2. Keenan Mayer looking to push that 3rd and final game.
Smart high hit there by Johnny Hyden. He's been serving quite well. I think he should get back here and take a good hard rip at Mayer.
And he does. Little bit of trouble, but things work out. I got to tell you, Jeff, when I saw things going down, I was like, oh no, that great big rip right there. Could be something, but we now move forward to game point after a spectacular bit of work from Mayer and Keenan. 20 to 19.
What's he got for the game?
Oh, Sean Scott with the block, and the timing of that particular venture couldn't have been better. Scott's up as we take a look back, drops that ball back down and in, and that was a huge, huge opportunity for Keenan Mayer to finish.
John got caught on his bad side, his non-typical side over on the left, but I really would have liked to see him swing as hard as he could there and just, you know, blast away and run off to the sideline, take your game.
Here's Sean Scott set to serve, 20 apiece. An opportunity to jump ahead.
Tight set.
Oh, John Mayer with a little knuckler out of what you call the tight set there. And here we go. Here's the opportunity. Well, certainly a smart serve needed here, but something that is at the same time challenging. Would you agree?
Yeah, they got to get him in a little bit of trouble. I wouldn't really give it to him. I love these points, though. This is when you find out what guys are made of, you know? You can play a lot of different styles and all the way up to 18, but you get to game point, you find out what people are made of.
And here goes Johnny Mayer.
Looks like 4 and 4 is the block of Keenan. That means he should be doing a late dive into the angle.
Set out to Sean Scott.
There it is.
Mayer digs it. Mayer with a chance. The pokey picked up by Hyden. Hyden for the tie. Oh, off the hands of Brad Keenan.
Oh.
Another great pickup by John Mayer, but couldn't close the deal. So they've had 2 swings to take this game. That wasn't the greatest set in the world, you know, on a bang-bang play, but kind of an easy poke shot right down to the into the defense.
Well, you know, I would say that things are heating up, but things are white hot out here right now. The crowd stomping on the bleachers. Just audible percussion coming forward from an elated crowd. Big hit right there, smack down, and we saw a position change right there as John Mayer was up at the net. Keenan was back.
Those are the little things right there. You know, if somehow John Mayer can get a call for angle, he cuts that ball, they win.
Well, the ball flies long there off the knuckle. So their 3rd game point. And you can hear we'll push the 3rd and final game here in men's championship.
Brad Keenan. Rips it. Set out to Hyden.
Great
up.
set.
And blocked by Brad Keenan.
And Brad Keenan has blocked when the time was right in a big way. And we will see a third and final game here in the championship match. Unstoppable is the intensity that is surfacing right here in Hermosa Beach so far this weekend. The women's championship, we saw it off the chain, and now the gents are showing some serious prowess themselves and showing the beach here a very incredible show. And we will see this block once again from Brad Keenan as we go to break. Stay with us. Game 3 coming up when we come back. Welcome back to the place to be. Hermosa Beach Open right here. Jose Cuervo Pro Beach Volleyball Series Men's Championship. We just witnessed an absolute battle in game number 2. Brad Keenan and John Mayer taking that game after we saw these gentlemen, Sean Scott and John Hyden, take game number 1, 22-20. And we now move on to game number 3. This is for all the marbles. Sean Scott and John Hyden won in Fort Lauderdale, and since then have been held back. And an opportunity for partners who have not won a championship together, John Mayer and Brad Keenan, to step up to the plate and crush one out of the stadium, so to speak. Here's John Mayer as he preps. This game's a 15 rally scoring all the way through, standard business. Sean Scott, great pass. Look at that top rolling shot alongside Matt Romanowski, of course, and Jeff Alzina, 2004 men's Olympic coach. I'm Luke Van Valen. And, well, things are underway, Jeff.
Got a great look again at the improved bump setting of John Hyden. They've definitely got each other out of a lot of trouble from broken passes. They're getting their set all the way back up to the net.
Just to set some momentum, Mayer dug. Oh, Sean Scott.
Must have been a micro touch on the block again. He had to go there. I'd like to see Brad Keenan take another rip the way he did for a game point in game 2 there. I mean, he's got the good side. He's got arms that are about 6'10". He's ripping it into the wind. He should go for it every time.
That's quite a wingspan, no doubt about it. Great big dig right there from John Mayer as a mulligan is being taken by John Hyden. Here comes Keenan. He rolls the shot, and Hyden again, another smack, and John Mayer finds it. And the left-handed shot right there from Sean Scott. That was a big emotional point, as you mentioned.
Very rare hitting error by Sean Scott. The wind really caught that set and blew it inside. Sean's known for having a good left hand. That ball must have moved a lot on him. But these guys are steady, consummate professionals. They're not going to get rattled by 1 or 2 points being given up here. Sean and John have been here a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen times.
Brad Keenan right there serving into the net. Point for the opposition. 2 apiece out here as Sean Scott will serve.
Looked like John Hyden gave Sean the call for a split block. Wide arms in the middle, see if he splits it here. No, went for the ball.
And the surfacing of a very tough situation right there. Balls up high, partner in the way. As we take a look back here. And tough communication right there as he was.
No communication whatsoever. There's no way John Mayer puts that ball to his left if he hears Brad saying, on your right, on your right. That's a huge blown opportunity right there.
Here is Sean Scott stepping back to serve. Johnny Mayer pushes it out for Keenan. Keenan rips it off the block for the point.
Keenan unleashing right there. Really big smack. 3 apiece. Here comes John Mayer, set to serve. Nice recovery right there. The big set, and although a bit tumultuous, that play was effective in gaining the point. And this time, John Hyden to serve.
Service, Johnny Hyden.
He's been taking some good rips at the right side of John Mayer's court. See if he goes for it again. Yep.
That's a spectacular observation right there. Firing right off to his right, keeping that out in the court, but Mayer that time throwing up a quality pass.
Yeah, and a really smart swing as well. He didn't want to give up a free one, so he took a high percentage swing right down the middle of the court.
Brad Keenan set to launch. And that serve just wide.
2 misses at 4-4. You don't want to have 2 misses already. If you do, you want to be going for it a little harder than he is. You know, those are both kind of off-speed shots.
Sean Scott, he fires in. Brad Keenan finds it. He's trying to soften the impact there. Both are up, and this time Sean Scott, with that left hand, has a fine connection.
That's just a really high-level elite play there. Sean goes as high as he possibly can, just to soft block it. He knows he can't dunk it, so he just slows it down for Hyden, who had great balance waiting for him in the backcourt. Another great transition set, and then, of course, Sean with the lefty. I'm really surprised when more beach volleyball players can't hit the ball well with both hands. If you think about a basketball player, they got to shoot with their left, their right all the time, at least around the basket.
Indeed.
Not to mention dribble with their left and right constantly.
And there was that outside line shot you mentioned that John Hyden has worked to perfect.
Probably a good timeout there by Keenan and Mayer. A lot of momentum going to Sean and John there. John's not going to be fooled by a little simple poke shot, and he's going to go right to what's been working for him his whole career, wrist away down the line.
We take a look back right here. Hyden, very well played shot, and here comes this right-handed outside line hit. Just a scientist with that shot, a surgeon, if you will. Well, there they are, the favorites here in this championship round, folks. Sean Scott on the right, John Hyden on the left, doing it for Spalding. Of course, Jose Cuervo as well as Zico. I had a chance to catch up with Lauren Fendrick earlier today. She mentioned that coconut water is a very, very solid way to continue staying, I don't know, hydrated throughout the day. What would you say is going on here, Jeff? What's the discussion if you had to cast your suspicions?
Well, it's hard to say. They're their own coaches here, but I love that John Hyden is taking the reins there and coming up with either some sort of positive feedback of things that Sean's been doing well, or coming up with what do we want to do right now? Do we want to stay on the guy we've been serving? But it's just good. Some guys just really rest during their break. There you see somebody who's offering probably a play. They're probably going to try and run a specific play to a specific opponent right now. They've gone a little bit away from taking just a full wrap at either player, and they're definitely kind of staying with one guy a little longer. Staying with Johnny Mayer.
Solid hand set right there from Brad Keenan. Mayer comes in, snaps that down the line. Good for the point, bringing things back up, 5-7.
Sean gave John kind of a weird look after the hit went by. Looked at him as if like you were supposed to be there. I don't know if they got that play down to where they wanted it.
Here's the set to Sean Scott. Mayer. Keenan, sorry. Up out of reach.
Johnny Mayer trying to hunt that one down off the knuckle of Brad Keenan and back to that 3-point split. Tough spot to be, as you mentioned prior.
Mayor and Keenan both played up at Pepperdine University for legendary and Olympic coach Marv Dunphy, one of my mentors for sure in my career. Marv has a saying, he's got hundreds of sayings, but one of them is there are no little things. There are no little things because everything's big. And that's another example of a play that, you know, it's just a little play that Brad's got his hand on, but they can't get it. If he can get that ball up, then he's their hitter in transition, 6'8".
And that's what happens when a 6'8" figure gives it a full wrapping.
Like to see a really good high toss and confident rip from Keenan right now. Either guy's fine, just rip it down the middle.
Oof. Going for the smack hard right there. And the high toss, of course, becomes a bit more complex with that side wind we have coming cross court. But
yeah, I just think if you're going to go for your serve right now, if you're really going to rip it, you can't be aiming for lines with all that movement due to the wind. You've got to go a little more right up the gut and be okay with which way it breaks, but just bring the heat. See if Sean will stick on Mayer.
Well, it's just that Billy Allen and Brad Keenan have played against Sean Scott and John Hyden Manhattan Beach in the championship, so Keenan coming in with a bit of experience. Oh, man. Sean Scott elevating and pushing that ball up, top rolling back down the line.
Smart shot by Sean Scott there. High percentage. Couldn't get a good vision on the court. Just lay it up into the deep corner.
Here is Johnny Hyden. Pass by Keenan. Set to Brad. Brad. Down the line.
Brad Keenan going down the line from point 8 to 10.
Well, Brad Keenan now stepping back into the launch pad once again. Will he crush the ball is the question lingering in my mind.
I think he's got to go off speed now. And again, he should probably aim towards the center of the court. There's your off speed. Mayer picks up Hyden's favorite shot. Little things. I hate to dwell on it, but little things. You got your dig, but you don't get a swing for a point. Gave it right back.
Well, 11-8 on the board right now. Sean Scott steps back. Catches the reading from John Hyden. Nice pass there. Here comes Keenan. Heavy smack off the hands and the block of Sean Scott. And Sean Scott, 7 blocks in the match. Little things. Getting up every time. Although that is just an enormous block that he throws up right there. Bam, down and in.
So well timed and in the right spot, so balanced. These guys are great, great veterans that train harder than anybody in the game. They've been playing forever. They're veterans. They could probably take more rest than they do, but they love to just keep getting better and keep being more physical and smarter every day. Unreal dig.
Beautiful dig and a fantastic finish as well. Healthy lead, 5 points, and there's that dig. And just clobbers the Spalding.
That's that quick jump again. He had no approach whatsoever. Just a little step, close, jump, go. Gave it a rip.
Sean Scott, 13-8. Slaps that ball back, and Mayer tracks it down. Here's Keenan. Nice and high right there. Sean Scott with a big approach. He just knuckles it. Mayer finds it. There's the handset, crushes it. Found by Johnny Hyden, and the line straight to the belt for Sean Scott. Oh my, that was emotional. Unbelievable. Well, folks, here we go. The fans standing up on their feet in a packed house here in Hermosa Beach. We have reached match point. Sean Scott and John Hyden with an opportunity right here. Ball goes in, found by Brad Keenan. The set is up. Hard crushing shot right there off the hands of Sean Scott, out of bounds. Keenan and Mayer.
This crowd is fired up. They want the underdog to come here, but they're going to need 5 in a row to do it.
Well, the slow clap has commenced out here. John Mayer set to serve. Match point.
Good rip.
Sean Scott hammers it, and that is it. They've done it. Their second win on the Jose Cuervo Pro Beach Volleyball Series here in 2012. Hermosa Beach Open. And what a well-played game. Jeff, your thoughts?
Well, that was the top of John Wooden's pyramid is competitive greatness, which he defines as being your best when your best is what's absolutely needed. And that is Sean Scott and John Hyden to a T. You know, they can go 3 sets. They can be forced to a third, backs against the wall, and they were better than ever. Their best volleyball was played down the stretch in the 3rd set when they absolutely needed it.
Well, that is a spectacular analysis. Here it comes. Here's the championship point. Found by Sean Scott. He comes up, right hand cocks back, crushes one down. John Mayer swings the platform around, but unable to pass it to Brad Keenan. So Mayer and Keenan runners up to Sean Scott and John Hyden. Fantastic.
I really think that Keenan and Mayer have got to go back and watch game 1, look at their tape or our feed and find out what went wrong. They're leading 19-16 on the good side, a 3-point lead, and they got outscored 6-1. If they can win that first set, things could be a lot different out here. But they kind of gave that one away, fought back in the second, but just didn't have enough in the tank for the 3rd set against these savvy veterans.
Well, remarkable gameplay out there, and a healthy lead initiated and kept there toward the tail end of game number 3. Sean Scott, John Hyden, both saying hello and accepting congratulations from their respective wives, friends, etc. down there. And just in a few minutes, we're going to have a winner's interview, of course. Matt Romanowski, one of our boys down there, to conduct said interview. And I mean, how big of a win is this? Right smack dab in the middle of summer. Just take one home.
Well, you got to love winning in the South Bay here, Manhattan and Hermosa, where volleyball was basically invented. It's got all the rich history, the best fans in the entire world who came out in force today. You got to love winning here in front of all these great, knowledgeable fans, as well as your family.
Spectacular stuff. Just a whole gaggle of greatness out here, as we've seen on the weekend. Of course, Jenny Kropp and Whitney Pavlik taking the women's championship just prior to this particular game. And right now, I think we want to send it down to Matt Romanowski, who's down on site.
Jose Cuervo girls with the presentation of the flowers, gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, Jim Sias from Jose Cuervo. Jim, present the check to your Hermosa Beach Open champions. Johnny Hyden and Sean Scott.
And of course, the photo opportunities out there of the champions, John Hyden, Sean Scott. Matt Romanowski now about to move in for the interview.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Sean, you guys started out the season, with a win in Florida, and then had a back injury, came back to the 5th. What does this win mean to you here in Hermosa Beach?
This is awesome. My parents are here, my sister's here, my family's all here, so I
Johnny Hyden. Talk about this Hermosa crowd all weekend long.
Oh, they were fantastic. They came down and kind of braved the weather today, but we got a lot of people out here. It was awesome all weekend. I really appreciate you guys getting out, and like Sean said, volleyball is back.
That's right, boys. Congratulations, gentlemen. Your Hermosa Beach Open champions. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Sean Scott and Johnny Hyden.
Well, thank you very much, Matt Romanowski. There they are, the champions. And I'd like to thank Mr. Jeff Alzina, 2004 men's Olympic coach and a coach out here on site, helping me out with the strategy and deciphering that's required therein. Thank you very much, Jeff, for coming out.
My pleasure. It's great working with you.
Absolute gentlemen. Just keeping it real out here. All right, folks. The Jose Cuervo Pro Beach Volleyball Series has been brought to you by Jose Cuervo. Party hard, play harder, and please remember to do it responsibly. By Paul Mitchell, the new Mitch by Paul Mitchell. Style isn't born, it's groomed. By Spalding, the official ball of the Jose Cuervo Pro Beach Volleyball Series. By Maxim, the best thing to happen to men since women. And by USA Beach Volleyball. The Hermosa Beach Open is an officially sanctioned USA Beach Volleyball event. Well, folks, it's been an unbelievable weekend right here from Hermosa Beach. We will see you next time as the Jose Cuervo Pro Beach Volleyball Tour continues. Don't forget, Net Live tomorrow from 10 to 12. Check out Cynthia Barboza and Ryan Doherty, the Avatar, as guests on the show. Congratulations to all our champions, and from our entire crew, so long. We'll see you next time.